Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me today. I would like for us to talk about two things, really just one thing, but from two perspectives. I would like to talk about A Course in Miracles from the point of view of level confusion and what they say, and you don't need to know what I'm talking about at all. And you don't need to be a Course in Miracles student or teacher. And I would like to talk about bodies because I believe that's the sticking point in our frozen identity, if you will, our connection with the ego that we're identified with that holds us back from freedom. The other way I would like to talk about the body is through lesson 199. I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as God created me. Another way to say that is I'm not a body, I am freedom. I'm not a body, I'm unlimited. Another way to say it is the body is a limit and I am not. So let's start with what Ken Wapnick describes as the level confusion that's described in the Course. Ken Wapnick, if you don't know him, was because his body is no longer with us, was one of the greats, one of the great, profound, especially intellectual teachers of A Course in Miracles. And he describes the top level. Let's see, what does he call it? I don't remember if he says top level, but the highest on the pyramid is heaven, Christ consciousness, God, knowledge, oneness, love, and non-duality. And I love that he calls it non-duality, which is, of course, what it's been called over the years. But he connects the Course with non-duality. Again, one of the differences between people who are wedded to the Course as their path tend to believe in the progressive path, one little step at a time, one choice at a time, one awareness at a time, one miracle at a time, one holy instant at a time, and then that builds up. Non-duality, and the Course does have its moments where it speaks of non-duality. The non-duality, the difference really only is it touts the direct experience. It touts, it explains, it shows us, it points that freedom is available for you and for me right now. We don't need purification. We don't need cleansing. We don't need to fix ourselves. We don't need anything. We already are what God is. We already are the unlimited, but we just don't know it. So that expression, awakening, is either a real description or a great metaphor for waking up from the dream. You know, when people believe they can't use their legs, it becomes true they can't use their legs. I thought of my mom when I said that. She had knee surgery that gave her a new knee. And so she was able physically to lift her knee into the car just like you and I would. Before the surgery, she had to take her knee with her hands and arms and lift it up. But she never made that connection in her beliefs She never allowed the physicality of her knee to show her that she could indeed, with her stomach muscles, with her knee, her new knee, lift her leg, with her quads, that all would go together in a not difficult way to lift her knee. So she would continue even after the knee surgery to manually, with her arms, lift her knee. And that metaphor is us. As long as we see ourselves as wedded to a body, as we are what the body is, not that we are something bigger, and the body is just our containment, our container, our vessel to show up in the world of playground. This is a playground. Shakespeare said it, all the world's a stage and all the people are merely players. And it's been said, he wasn't the first and he won't be the last. But we don't believe it, just like my mom. And when you don't believe it, that belief is as important in a way as reality, maybe more, because we will be guided by our beliefs rather than the truth with a capital T. So there's a reference I would like to share from one of the great non-dual teachers. And it says, this is Nisargadatta, have your being outside this body of birth and death, and all your problems will be solved. So let me say it again. Have your being outside the birth and the death. And he says, all your problems will be solved. They exist, your problems, they exist because you believe yourself born to die. Undeceive yourself and be free. You are not a person. I know that's shocking. I know. It's hard to wrap yourself around this. And truly, I didn't get it until my daughter passed away. I had great motivation to make these concepts real. I wanted to continue that connection, but to continue the connection, both of us had to be redefined, re-identified, reconnected to each other, not just as people, but as part of the one being. So underneath let me get the others. Maybe I won't do all of those in the chart right now. I think what I'll do is go to lesson 199, and maybe we'll come back to his chart, Ken Wapnick's chart. But the body is on the bottom, as you would imagine. If we see ourselves as the body, just as Nisargadatta said, we'll be in hell, we'll have problems. And the Course agrees with him. The Course says we have only one problem, and that's a belief in separation. But I always took that to mean separation from you and me, and that it was really more metaphorical. Truly, it's not metaphorical, it's physical, that we're energy systems all connected up, and we're not just connected up to each other, we're connected up to space and energy and other molecules and other parts of physics that I am not even equipped to describe, except that I know it's all oneness. So it's the planets, it's not just the earth, it's the sun, it's the moon, it's everything. And that's beyond our little minds, but it doesn't have to be. We do have to let go the old mold, the old confining, jailing beliefs. So let's look at lesson 199. Freedom must be impossible as long as you perceive a body as yourself. I'll read it again. Freedom must be impossible as long as we perceives our bodies as ourselves. The body is a limit. Who would seek for freedom in a body looks for it where it cannot be found. The mind, meaning small mind, can be made free when it no longer sees itself as in a body, firmly tied to it and sheltered by its presence. If this were the truth, the mind were vulnerable indeed. So I think they're not really talking about the small mind. They're talking about when in the Course, sometimes we're represented as being the mind of God. So that would be the capital M. That would be the one mind. And the one mind would be vulnerable if indeed we were bodies. Do you remember, if you were with me in lesson 48, we had a house and we did a meditation that in order to enter the house for that exercise, you were asked or invited to let go your memories, let go your personality, let go your body, and join the what is in the house. And some of us immediately knew that we were one with what is. There weren't two in the house. And others of us maintained that conditioned idea. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. That conditioned idea that there were two in the house. What is that unlimited source, that space that has no end, that is all-consuming, that formless presence, that expansion from time and limitation, the oneness. And when we maintained our conditioned self and thought of ourselves as visiting the Supreme, we asked that you find where the boundary is between you and the what is. Do that now. If you're the oneness, see if there's any difference, any space, any markers, any limits. The Course goes on to say, the mind that serves the Holy Spirit is unlimited forever. This is still in lesson 199, number 2. In all ways, beyond the laws of time and space, unbound by any preconceptions, and with strength and power to do whatever it's asked. So we could change the words here to make it fit and keep the meaning. The mind that serves the oneness is unlimited forever in all ways, beyond the loss of time and space, unbound by any preconceptions. Preconceptions are I'm a body. Preconceptions I'm going to die. Preconceptions are Melissa died. Melissa was born. If I don't want Melissa to be dead, then Melissa can't ever have been born. So I can't be wedded to the dance, the limitation of what I used to see. Melissa is everything, just as I am everything. We are the oneness. Then it adds something really interesting in paragraph 2. Attack thoughts cannot enter such a mind because it has been given to the source of love. And fear can never enter in a mind that has attached itself to love. Well, non-duality sees thoughts a little bit differently, but the bottom line is the same. So non-duality, because it doesn't see a person, just like the Course is saying you're not actually an individual person, then because of our years of conditioning, thoughts can happen, but they're just energy. If we don't entertain them, if we're not interested in them, they're nothing. You could see a cloud in the sky and say, oh, it might rain later today. Or that looks like this kind of cloud. But it has no effect. I mean, unless you're planning a picnic, in which case maybe you'll figure out the weather conditions, but you won't feel like, oh, I'm less of a person because I noticed that. It just, we keep the noticer, we keep the witness, but as long as we lose our interest in these attack thoughts on ourselves and other people, they're harmless. All the people who defend the thoughts by saying we are responsible for every thought because of a fear that the thoughts will create form, they don't create form if they're not energized, if they're nothing. I think I told this story once that a man who was probably drunk was yelling at my coat on the street. The coat happened to be made of wool, but it was a kind of mohair wool that was fuzzy. And in his delirium, he thought it was fur. So he attacked me viciously with his mouth. And I felt no response. He did not create form. I did not create form because it was nothing. I had no fear of him. I had no feelings of being a bad person for wearing fur because I wasn't wearing fur. So any thoughts of attack, whether they're our own, can be just like that. We can lose our interest. And when I say that, it means because so many of us have had imagined unworthiness, we take these thoughts and we do create form by adding to them, by saying, oh, yes, and guess what? I also judge this person, and that's just like this, and I'm such a bad person for judging, and I'll never find my innocence, and I'll never this and never that. And now I really created an event for myself to deal with. It's not necessary. Thoughts can all be like the neutral thoughts that come that are useful, like take an umbrella, it's going to rain, or it's cold out, put on a sweater. Those are useful thoughts. We can observe our thoughts and decide, and we're not actually deciding, it's just happening. We didn't make the thoughts happen from the non-dual perspective, and we can just go with the flow and let them pass through like the clouds pass through in the sky. Paragraph 3, let's see how we're doing on time. We're good. It is essential for your progress in this course that you accept today's idea, and I love this part, hold it very dear. Most of us, including me, did not find lesson 199, I'm not a body, to be at all useful because I was a body worshiper. I thought thinness was the holy grail. Fun clothes were the holy grail. I was deprived of it when I was obese, so now I can wear the fun clothes. And I thought it doesn't get better than this. But guess what? There is a freedom that's better than being slim and being able to wear nice clothes. Slimness is a very precarious idol to have, especially if you're a food lover. You're always in danger of losing it, and you're always in danger of being in jail or being bullied or whatever fearful jail-like thoughts you have. It's not freedom. Freedom is the absence of suffering to me. And suffering is a psychological, mind event. So the external situation, we know that from some of the greats who've been in jail and found freedom. The freedom came from a knowing of their worth, the knowing that the past is not real, only the now is real. In this play world, the playground, yes, the past is very important. And the future is very important in this play world. So we make laws and we learn from our past, and that's where the curriculum comes in. And the course is brilliant because it meets us where we are. We need a curriculum that starts in this world. But there's another more real world. And the way to tell which world we're in is, does this come and go? That has to do with thoughts come and go, feelings come and go, time comes and goes. But when we enter the oneness, when we enter the energy of that house of what is, where there's only love, where there's only light, and it's not light as opposed to dark, it's just knowing, it's just seeing. Now, when we try to notice, is something perceivable, then we have two. We have the perceiver and whatever is perceived. And all the objects in this world, all of the playground things, are all things that come and go. Our success, our age, our bodies, our thoughts, our feelings, our perceptions, our sensations, our personalities, our cars, our houses, they're all temporary. When we check into, how do we know we're alive? Where do we go to know that? You might imagine you go to your head, but your brain also comes and goes. So that's not you. The knowing that we are alive just is. It's part of the what is. We don't go to a special place. It's formless, and it's always been there. If you're new to being with me, one of my favorite things to do is to remind ourselves, because it works on me every single time. When you were 5, did you want different things from when you were 15? Did you think different thoughts than when you were 15? But were you that same person? Was your experience that same person? Most people would say yes. And yet your body looked different, your brain capacity was different, but there was a knowing. That knower, that's not your thoughts, that knower is part of the unlimited, part of the what is, part of the supreme that never comes and goes. It never dies. It was never born, and it will never die. It's not a body. It is freedom. Why is it freedom? Because it has no self-consciousness. It's never wrong and never right. It has no preferences. It just goes with the flow. There is a flow. There is a curriculum to life that's beyond your choice. If there's no separate person, there ultimately is no chooser. So there's no one to be responsible except the Supreme. The weather, the what is, that knower that knows you're alive. You are free right now. This can be your moment, your new moment to accept what you are. Thank you for being with me today. Mwah. Bye-bye until the next time.